Congratulations!
Yay, I'm alive! It's alive!
So did you know that last season that you were alive?
I knew last season that I was shot in the face and in a coma. And I knew that he said I was coming back, and I believed him sort of. And I was like, I think I'm coming back, I hope so. Everybody kept saying, oh, that's a series wrap. And I was like, no. When we finished the last episode. But I trust Brian. I'm glad that he decided to make such a public announcement out of it. Yeah. And I was really surprised by that.
How do you feel about being a fan favorite?
I know, it was awesome. Really? It blew my mind. Honestly, it's the most incredible compliment because most of my life I've done theater. And when you do theater, obviously the audience is there and you have this relationship, this conversation with them every night. When you're in front of a camera, we do these episodes and then they don't air for 6 months. Or, you do your work and if the crew likes it, then you're probably in good shape. And we try to make each other laugh and we ad-lib stuff and then you have to forget about it. So to come somewhere like this, where you're hearing audiences cheering for you and you cheering for your character, or to see that stuff online or wearing a mask, it's that reinforcement that we just never get in front of a camera. It was great, and the character's such a jerk. I'm really surprising.
You feel such an important role, though, especially in this last season as well, but especially in this season, because you need to laugh at a certain point. How do you keep the character comedic, but not a joke when he's not supposed to be?
I feel like these guys, Steve, Brian, the writers always have a particular turn of phrase that they give me that is, you can spin it either way. So one of the things I look out for is if the moment warrants the joke or not. There's a really great scene with Jack in episode 6 where Chilton is cracking, well, he's not cracking jokes, but he has a line that I love where Jack says, you have an agenda, and he says, yes, I have an agenda, living, which is very funny. But the scene ends up playing not funny because then Chilton begins to speak honestly, and he says he's got the right profile, he fits, and he's hurt that he's saying this about his friend. And what we filmed is you're seeing two guys realizing this is someone we trust and love and believe in and want to and admire, that we are saying these things about. So you could have played that very funny, but I wanted to flip it. My favorite thing about humor is that humor pulls the audience to you. If you get them laughing in the first half, you can guarantee you can get them crying in the second. It is Chilton's sense of humor and his superiority, I think, that gets audiences on his side, which is better than just being some tedious jerk, And we know that he is Hannibal's captor. We know that he is Hannibal's tormentor. And now what they've done is create this backstory where this man has every reason to torment this guy. But a lot of that's on the page. There's another line, one can grow to love beets, which was like in the first episode back. There's nothing funny about the line, one can grow to love beets, but it ended up being very funny. And that's how he works.
In the last season, he uses a cane. Now he has been shot. How would physically affect Chilton?
I've told Brian I want to go all David Cronenberg on this thing. I do. I want like an Ed Harris face. I probably will regret that. I really like Game of Thrones, for instance, and I know that Tyrion Lannister loses his nose in the books, and they chose not to do that on the series, probably not spend 5 hours in makeup every day. So maybe I'll regret it, but we could probably accomplish something like a milky, gross eye with a contact lens. I don't know. I think he has to be scarred in seriousness. Plus, I love that stuff. The first show I did on Broadway was Rocky Horror. I asked them to give me a Marilyn Manson. I love that stuff. The weirder, the better.
Your character in other incarnations is fairly one-dimensional, very functional. In this show, it's a very sophisticated and interesting portrayal, and serves a tremendous range of purposes. How did Brian explain to you what his vision was for the character, and then how did you go about constructing that?
Great question. Brian offered me the part, and I said, well, Chilton is that smarmy jerk, right? I don't want to play that guy.
Exactly my word. Yes.
And he said, he'll be sexy and charming. And I was like, how do we do that? When I got to set, they kept talking about douchey, like his clothes, his home, his shoes, the car he drove, and I said, I didn't want that. I didn't want to feel. I felt a judgment coming from not Brian, but from the design that was happening. So I had to end up embracing that and say, like, okay, I need to feel uncomfortable in my skin, which is, I asked him to put me in bikini underwear. Like, everything about him from the bottom up makes me, Raúl, feel uncomfortable. So I know I'm in that body, and then I just trust that that's enough. And then Brian writes an intelligent guy, and I try to deliver his cunning and his intelligence. Brian knew me. We'd worked together before. He knew what qualities I was capable of portraying, so he never once said, I want you to do it like this. He knew that I didn't want to play someone who was going to be tedious, which is how he's described by Thomas Harris. He's tedious. You have to get past him to get to the interesting stuff. And Brian knew I would not want to do that. And anybody who is playing someone unlikable is always going to look for the thing that you like about them. I couldn't walk on set every day hating the man I was playing, so I had to find for myself the things I appreciated in him. And Brian kept writing to that direction, so it was a very symbiotic relationship that way. He was writing to things he knew I could do, and I was trying to accept the things I didn't like about Chilton. And then these guys would provide me with these delicious scenes. It's kind of chicken or the egg, but it began to feed. It's a really creative show to work on that way.
It was a surprising and wonderful performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think you'll like it.
I come from Broadway.
You do? What have you done? Darling! Am I done? Yeah.